Weekly vlog number 59. Before we get into things, let me apologize first for my voice. It may sound a little bit weird because I just got off of a really fucked up recording session, and by the time I get done with every recording session, my voice ends up getting a little screwed up from simply speaking, because I don't normally speak a whole lot, so my throat's not really used to it, and it just fucks up my throat and makes my voice sound a little bit weird. Anyways, again, still, before we get into things, I want to explain something that I mentioned in a Borderlands video. I think it's part 62. I just mentioned it, and then I mentioned again in part 63, because that's what I just recorded. I recorded from 62 to 70 today. It was a really fucked up recording session. It felt like it really sucked. I couldn't think worth shit. I've just been, I don't know, my mind just wasn't really there today. But I got that done. And the beginning of 62, I went through and I mentioned what I'm about to mention here, is that I have been considering quitting YouTube. The reason for this is because the amount of money I put in my channel's not going anywhere, obviously. I do this because I want to. It's not all just because I'm trying to turn it into a job, but a big part of the reason is because I want to turn it into a job. Another part is because it helps me fight against my own personality disorders and helps me speak in coherent sentences, actually make it so I can speak to people properly without stuttering all the goddamn time, which obviously I still stutter, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was years back when I actually started my channel. Now, the other reasons why I am considering quitting, even though I haven't decided anything yet, I want to know what people think before I make a decision. I want to know what you guys think. It's possible that no matter what you say, it won't sway my decision one way or the other. It's possible that I may actually quit, but it's also possible that I may stay. I don't really know. I have not decided yet. It's going to be a little while. I am going to at least finish Borderlands 2 before I make my decision. But after I finish Borderlands 2, I guess then it will become, will I work on Fear, or will I work on Half-Life Source, or some other game, or will I really quit? I'm not sure yet, but so you still have a few months or so, or whenever the fuck the series ends up finishing. So the other reasons, because I got a little off topic there explaining myself, the other reasons here are really that it's just turning into a massive pile of stress. I try and get my quality to be the best I possibly can. No, there's not really a whole lot of issues with copyright claims these days. I don't know if YouTube has been the reason for that. Obviously, there's still a huge amount of people who have a lot of copyright claim issues, but I haven't really had a whole lot of copyright issues lately, and that's not the deciding factor here. The biggest issue, the biggest cause of stress, one is obviously, if I continue recording, I'm probably going to be stuck with Nvidia. Mostly because of Shadowplay, I record only computer games. I don't really want to use an HDMI capture card, external device to capture HDMI signal, because then it will then adjust the volume of the videos based on how loud my computer happens to be. And when I'm in a game, I tend to adjust the volume of that game with my keyboard, so it adjusts the volume of my computer. The benefits of recording with software like Fraps or Shadowplay happens to be that it doesn't adjust the volume of the footage that gets recorded when I adjust the volume of my computer, so I don't have to have it super loud in my headset, and I don't have to play around the fucking little thing on my headset itself to turn the volume down on the headset itself, because I don't really use the headset anytime other than recording. So I don't really ever remember which of the fucking things I need to move in order to turn the system down. And it's just a lot easier for me to just go up to my keyboard, move a little thing on my keyboard, turn the system down. And on top of that, I would have to make sure my volume is at a specific level for the video every freaking time I record if I use an HDMI capture device. I was doing that, and I wasn't making sure it was at a specific level every time. What I did instead was I would adjust it in the editor, but that would make the videos take far too long to go through and edit. And I really don't feel like doing that again. I don't like dealing with all of the damn envelopes, guessing where I turn volume down, guessing where I turn volume up, and going through all that crap. I like just having the footage recorded with a constant audio level. Unless, of course, it goes and does what Borderlands 2 does in some areas, where it, for some reason, makes volume a lot louder, and compared to the rest of the game. It's just insane. But that's, I can ignore that. That's part of the game itself. That's not from me adjusting the volume of my computer itself. It's just all in-game issues that I got to deal with, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. The issue with HDMI recording devices is simply the adjustment of the fucking volume of my system. There's also the problem of potential HDCP blockage, so some cutscenes or some portions of some games may potentially black out the screen and not get recorded, and that may freak me out a little bit, make me think I had a black screen crash or some other weird ass issue going on, even though if I hear the audio, because apparently audio can be passed through still, but it's also possible that with HDCP they block out the audio and just make it look like I got a black screen crash until the cutscene is over, and if it's a cutscene I can't skip or something, then it's possible that I'll just accidentally think, oh, well, fuck, there's a fucked up recording session, turn the computer off, turn it back on, and even if nothing's really going on that's really bad. So I'm really stuck with Nvidia because of Shadowplay. I haven't really found anything that's better than Shadowplay, because Shadowplay only a hit on performance of the frame rate between 1 and 2 frames per second, whereas Fraps is what I was using before I had an external capture device, and it's before I had Shadowplay. It was back with my last computer before I had Nvidia as my gaming computer. It was in when I had the two 5870 graphics cards in Crossfire. And with Fraps, the frame rate reduction can be as much as half, even with a secondary hard drive for recording only, which is what I do now. I have a hard drive for my operating system, I have a hard drive for recording videos only, and I have a hard drive for just games. That's it. I have 3 hard drives. They all have their separate functions, so there's no real bottleneck there. There's not one hard drive being used far more than another hard drive. They're being used pretty evenly when I'm recording to try and make sure there's no frame reductions, just make sure everything records as smoothly as I possibly can get it. It also helps cut down on loading scenes as well a bit. But anyways, so because I'm technically stuck with Nvidia, it is possible that all Nvidia graphics cards will cause some freaking weird ass interference from coil line. It is also possible, I guess, when I think about it, since this mic itself that I'm speaking into right now seems to be somewhat susceptible to the coil whine sound, whereas my AKG Perception 220 is not, in the tests that I ended up doing. Because this mic seems to be able to perceive that coil whine a lot better, it is very possible that even if I do switch to an AMD graphics card, that the coil whine will get picked up by my microphone. And if not, then if there's really no coil whine issues on the AMD graphics cards, or even if it could just be the electrical interference activity of the system itself, not just the coil whine itself. It could be the coil whine. It sounds like it's the coil whine. The severity of the interference on the mic seems to be adjusted depending on the exact same sound as the coil whine I hear from the graphics card. So it is very possible that it is picking up the coil whine, but if it is just electrical interference, then that's possibly something that I can't eliminate. I am okay with having to deal with that, I suppose, if I really have to, because I want to keep using this mic. I'm not ever replacing it. This is an amazing mic. Even if I do quit YouTube, I'm keeping this mic. The preamp I'm using, everything is just amazing. I like it. I like it a lot. So even if it is just picking up the electrical interference, okay, yeah, fine, I can ignore that. I can just let people know, hey, yeah, there's stuff getting picked up. It'll just electrical interference. There's nothing I can do to filter it out. I've tried. There's nothing I can do. I try to remove it as much as I can with noise removal process, but obviously you're going to hear a little bit of distortion in the audio when I do this noise removal process. It is very possible that you notice this, but it's possible that you don't notice it at all either. And people don't really seem to really care that slight distortion is there. I haven't really had any complaints about it, so I'm not worried too much about that. But the stress with my computer, the recent activity on my computer, and the fact that it is possible that I will fall behind in schedule because of my dog, that's where I have to really start and think, where is my channel going? The issues with my computer, if I start getting blue screens during recording, or if I get driver crashes during recording, if I get something that fucks up the recording session or the video that I'm recording at the time, it's going to fuck up the entire series that I happen to be working on, because it's just that one little fuck up. That's very obviously seen on Skyrim when I'm dealing with issues with driver crashes on Skyrim. That's very easily seen. And my fear of potential driver crashes and other issues, blue screen crashes, all that shit. My fear of that is seen throughout Borderlands 2. And when I have to focus on speaking while also focusing on trying to make sure nothing wrong happens, trying to make sure I get the proper footage necessary for the playthrough, I go and I speak constantly and pay attention to what the characters in the game are saying, pay attention to what I'm supposed to be doing in the game itself, and pay attention to my system, and obviously I have to pay attention to Audacity. I have to do a ton of multitasking. It is a lot more work than it sounds like to get stuff recorded, especially when you have in your mind, okay, something can fuck up and really screw everything up. So yeah, I do sometimes enjoy the way my videos turn out, though every once in a while I'll find a video, it's like, yeah, this is really fucking good, this turned out really good, this is awesome. I really do like it when I get a video that turns out awesome. But there's also the videos that turn out like shit. And even when they turn out like shit, I mean, okay, I still enjoy getting the stuff edited. I don't really like the process of recording. I don't like the process of editing, but I like the finished product that I get. And that's what mostly keeps me going, is that finished product of a video. But the biggest issue here is how much stress there is to do that. And the stress of it is not really worth it. Especially since I mentioned my dog. Let me elaborate on my dog here. So my dog, he's on water pills and heart pills because he's got some heart failure going on, and he's probably not going to live more than another 2 or 3 years. Possibly. I don't know how long he will last, but he has to take pills the entire rest of his life in order to stay comfortable and even just survive, really, to keep his heart strengthened and the liquid out of his lungs. Now, because of this, because he's on the water pills, what it does is it just dehydrates him. And by dehydrating him, it helps empty his lungs out, help keep that fluid from building up in his lungs so he doesn't cough all the time or choke or cough up some gunk or basically gag it up or just throw it up or whatever. And because he's dehydrated all the time, that means he's also drinking a lot more water. He's literally drinking 2 or 3 times the amount of water he was drinking without these water meds. And that's a big issue because I sleep between 10 and 14 hours every day or night, depending on when I'm awake and when I'm asleep. But because I sleep for so long, he then wakes me up to be let out. And this isn't a huge deal in some cases where he manages to make it the entire time, but other times, even if I was a regular person with a regular sleep schedule, he would still wake me up and need to be let out, and it would still fuck me up a bit because he needs to be let out around once or twice every time I go to sleep. And sometimes it'll be, okay, he wakes me up 3 or 4 hours into my sleep. Okay, there's an interruption. Now it's going to take me a little bit longer to get back to sleep, and sleep being interrupted is not really a good thing. You got to have a consistent, a full string of sleep from one point to the point where you wake up. If you have constant interruptions, it's just a catalyst to sleep deprivation. And sleep deprivation for me is a really easy thing to become a problem with, because how much sleep I require and the exact extent of my sleep disorder. And on top of that, I do have sleep apnea. I never really mentioned that. It's not caused by my weight. It's just, well, at least not all of it is caused by my weight. I'm sure a tiny bit of it is. I had some surgery when I was in high school to get rid of some of the sleep apnea. It was so bad that I was waking up once every 10 seconds. Just think about that. I was waking up every 10 seconds in my sleep. And now I don't know what it is at now that I had that surgery and all that. Obviously I get a lot more sleep than I did when I was in high school, but just thinking of how tired I can possibly get, man, you guys don't want to hear me speaking on my mic when I'm speaking like, well, okay, well, I gotta go over here, go to this. I mean, just imagine someone who's so worn out, so tired, so exhausted that they can barely speak, they can barely move, and there's this very real potential that if sleep deprivation does happen to kick in because of my dog, there's this very real potential that my brain could just be like, fuck it, I'm shutting off here for a few seconds. You're gonna just stare at the screen for a few minutes and just look like an idiot on the camera, and they're just gonna watch you die, and you're just gonna be just nothing, really. you're not going to be able to react to it. It's going to be like you're asleep with your eyes open, basically. Your brain's going to shut down. And that has happened to me before from sleep deprivation and my sleep disorders, just everything piling up and accumulating. And that's a very real potential with my dog. Now, since I've been speaking so much about my dog, let's go back to the stress. The stress of it, obviously falling behind schedule is a huge stress. Trying to keep quality the way I want it, trying to perfect it, that's a huge stress because I won't be able to do that if I'm exhausted or if I can't get the quality with my mic the way I want from the electrical interference or the coil line interference or whatever the fuck interference is going on. Obviously, just everything building up. There's so much stress in it. I just don't know what I'm going to do. It's possible. I mean, lately it has been a lot easier for me to get the proper sleep I need. My dog hasn't been waking me up too horribly much over the last few days or so, so maybe he's finally getting used to his water meds, and he will be fine, and he will stop waking me up, and the sleep won't be an issue, and if that's true, then awesome, cool. Check that one off the list of issues that lead me to wanting to quit YouTube. But because of all the stress that is still present from trying to get the exact quality I want, and then also on top of that, the cost of the channel, because right now I am using a $150 preamp, a $400 mic, a $100 shock mount, a $100 mic stand. Sony Vegas Pro Edit cost me $400. I mean, you add that up, that's a lot of money, and that's not counting the potential hardware replacements that I would need to worry about right away if I want to prevent myself from falling behind or having more interruptions in my channel. Like with Skyrim, it got interrupted near the end of its series, and I had to replace hardware trying to figure stuff out and get stuff working properly because it was consistently being an issue and it was just fucking everything up. There's nothing I could do about it. So issues like that, that's a huge source of stress. So right now, I just want to know people's opinions. What you think. What do you think I should do? Because right now I have not decided one way or the other, but it is very possible that after Borderlands 2 I will quit YouTube, but I don't know. If I get bored enough, or if I see myself potentially getting bored enough, or if I just really, really want to continue, despite all the stress, if I want to continue, I might still continue, but I seriously have no idea what I'm going to do. Alright, finally, with all of that said, goddamn, this is going to be a long video. It is nearly at 20 minutes on Audacity. Let's finally get on to the stuff that happened. Again, some of this is going to lead back into the stress issue that I mentioned with my channel. So let's begin. The first one is stress. Trying to solve the problems with blue screen crashes on my computer, I ended up downloading a Windows tool called Windows Update Diagnostic that really didn't fix anything. All it did let me do was finally get the fucking download that has repeatedly failed for the last 2 months from Windows Update. It was just some security update. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it let me get that finally, so that's awesome. That's out of the way. But it didn't fix the blue screen crashes, which sucks. Then before I get into the baby fish thing, which ended up pretty bad, I'm going to continue with graphics stuff. So Nvidia responded to me again, and they told me to try using the graphics driver's debug mode and test with that. And at first it seemed very promising. I went into The Witcher because that's the only game I have that I know of that I can easily and consistently create a blue screen crash in my system. And it's very likely that that is related to the other random ass blue screen crashes that I had alongside it. So I went into debug mode. The first test, it seemed really great. 2 hours seemed awesome. There's no issues as long as time I was able to play that game on this computer. Not a single blue screen crash. Then the issue began when I went and tried to exit the game. The game just basically crashed and it would just leave that black screen there. My system wasn't crashed. I was able to move my mouse. It was working fine. It was just one of those situations where, okay, you can just Alt-Tab out, or if you can't Alt-Tab out, hide that stuff in the background, then Control-Alt-Delete, bring up Task Manager, boom, friggin' close it or kill the process. The issue that it did cause that prevented that from being possible, however, ended up being that some reason it disabled my keyboard. I don't know why the fuck it disabled my keyboard, but it disabled my keyboard. It was really weird. None of the keys worked on my keyboard. I couldn't even turn on caps lock. I couldn't turn on the second profile for my macro keys. I couldn't turn on scroll lock. None of that worked. The light firm didn't turn on at all. I could turn on the Windows lock key, but that doesn't have to respond to the system in order to turn that on. That just some internal hardware of the keyboard itself says, okay, yeah, we're not going to pay attention to this specific key because you press this other little button here. But anything that is meant to respond to the computer, it didn't really respond. So I went to try and unplug the keyboard and plug it back in, but I got mixed up with my mouse, and I unplugged my mouse, plugged my mouse back in, then the lights on my mouse didn't light up. I was wondering what the fuck's going on. I went to try and move my mouse. There was nothing being input to my computer from moving the mouse. So I was wondering what the hell. So I didn't give up yet. I found my keyboard. I unplugged both plugs from my keyboard, waited a few seconds, plugged them back in, went back over to my keyboard. All the lights were turned on, but there was still no input to my computer from that keyboard. So I had to shut the computer down by holding the power button, turn it back on after I went through a regular restart to make sure nothing was shut down improperly or whatever. Just make sure everything was running right. I then went through one more test of The Witcher with the graphics driver on debug mode, and after less than 2 minutes into the game, I got a blue screen crash, so debug mode did not help. Of course, after this, I did relay this information to Nvidia. I'm still waiting for their response. I'm not sure what they're going to say about it. Be interesting if they did give me some good information. I did give them the newest crash dump file, but so far the issues aren't taken care of. I'm pretty sure it's just the graphics card because, I mean, seriously, 3 of 4 EVGA graphics cards, just faulty. Motherfucker, probably 4 of 4. I'm never getting EVGA graphics cards ever again, and I'm never getting overclocked graphics cards ever again. I'm only ever going to get reference board design graphics cards from now on. And that should hopefully eliminate the issues that I end up having. But I'm not completely sure. It should also hopefully eliminate the coil whine. Apparently, different board designs are a big factor with coil whine, and the reference board design is much lesser so, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. It's just information I found online. So who knows if it's true or not, I have no idea. Continuing away, finally done with computer stuff for now. Talk about the baby fish as the last thing that happened in the week. The baby fish, holy shit. It seemed like it was doing okay. That little netbox thing, I think I mentioned that it got here last week, I don't remember. I put that in the tank, and all the fish were in there. They were doing fine. They were hatching. I counted 10 of them at one point. It was freaking awesome. They were swimming around. I saw them swimming around. They seemed like they were doing all right. But every day that went by, that net around that net box seemed to get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. Like it was picking up everything that the filter it was supposed to pick up. And it was probably because it was such a fine mesh net that it just didn't really work all that well for water flow. So everything was just getting stuck to it like a goddamn magnet. And I don't know. It looked like it was a death trap for them. On top of that, because I put the thing together like you were supposed to, and I put the blue bracket shit, keep the net the right shape as a square or a box or whatever, I put that inside the mesh net itself. All of these tiny ant-sized fish kept getting into all these little cracks. They kept hiding everywhere, and they seemed like they were starting to get stuck in some of the areas. So I transferred them all to a plastic bag that I just float in the tank, and I transferred them all by using a little eyedropper and sucking them up with the eyedropper and carefully placing them into the plastic bag. They survived the transfer fine. They didn't really give a shit about it. They were a little scared by the process, of course, but they did fine by the transfer. They survived it. They weren't hurt. Though I did notice that at least half of them were dead when I transferred, or they were just too tired to move or something, or scared or something. I'm pretty sure that half of them were dead. And when I removed the net box, I cleaned up the net. It was really dirty. Like, I forgot it was white. It was practically brown or grayish, or it was pretty dark when it was supposed to be bleach white. And it was a pain in the ass to clean because there was so much on it, but few minutes, I did clean it off. I was very careful. Then I looked at it and I started thinking, okay, you know what? I gotta modify this thing so they can't get stuck. And I took out a little needle, I took out some thread, and I sat there for 3 or 4 hours fixing the thing, just improving it and making it so there's none of these little mesh net flap things that the little fish can get stuck between. And I just made sure there was nowhere that they could get stuck in or between, and really nothing they could try and hide under, because they're going to be fine if they're not able to hide. It's not like they're in danger anywhere. I'm sure they're not going to be stressed to death by not being able to hide, but the fact that they were all trying to hide all the time was leading to their deaths because they were getting stuck all the time. So I just made sure there was none of that. Then instead of putting the net back around the box frame thingy, I put it inside, and I then stitched it around the frame so it would hold itself to the proper shape. And that way they couldn't hide under or around that little framing of the box that the net was supposed to go over, because it was inside of it. And I put it back in the tank, I transferred them all. They seemed to be doing fine, at least the ones that were alive. Again, about half of them seemed dead when they were transferred. Before they were transferred, they were just dead. They didn't try swimming away when I sucked them up with the eyedropper, but the other half, they managed to get out of the eyedropper pretty easily, and there was a pain in the ass to get them. But after a day, I went over, okay, I still see movement. Another day later, I don't see any movement. I can't even see them anywhere. I don't know where the hell they are or went. They can't get out. There's no way for them to get out. I checked this everywhere. I double checked. I triple checked the entire thing. They couldn't have gotten out. Nothing could get in. So I guess they just died and their bodies started to rot, and the color of the rot and with how small they were, it was just blending in with the rest of the net itself. So I waited a couple more days just to be sure. Then I looked around. I hadn't seen any movement for 3 days by then. And I gave up. I took it out. I cleaned it out. None of the baby fish survived. So what I did is I ordered some Marina hang-on breeding box. And that's the thing I was going to get the first time, but it ended up being quite a bit more. The other thing I ended up getting was, I think, $5. Maybe less, and this one, it now cost me $21. I probably could have gotten it cheaper if I let my mom order it like I did with the last one, but it, without shipping, it was $14, so it's almost 3 times the amount of the other one. And I was trying to save a little money. I was thinking, okay, you know what, this net should work perfectly fine. I don't really see the difference. It's just they're probably going to work equally as well. But I did order the Marina hang-on breeding box in case there are more eggs, because obviously this net just isn't cutting it. And I'm pretty sure there's going to end up being more eggs later on, because I still have those 2 Cory catfish in the tank and they're still alive. They're doing well. So it's probably just a matter of time before they end up laying some more eggs. And in that case, I will then finally have the proper fucking box, a more expensive one, instead of some stupid dirt magnet or gunk magnet of a net that's in the tank that's going to be a huge issue. On top of that, if I think the fish may end up being pregnant, I could actually take them out of the main tank and put them into this hang-on breeding box and wait for them to lay their eggs. That way, when the eggs are laid, I don't have to scrape them off with the razor blade and put them in and risk damaging them, or risk clumping them together and causing them to all mold together and kill some that would have potentially survived. I could just let them stay in that little box and just hatch and do their thing, then remove all the ones that don't hatch and end up starting to mold, and without worrying about hurting the others. And damn, just money, man. It's because I've been trying to save up. I need a new chair, just fucking everything. Just, it's another stress thing, really. It's a pain in the ass to try and save up for expensive shit that you really want. Especially when one of them, the trike, happens to be very expensive, and on top of that, it will be a way for you to lose weight, which is probably going to be a very good thing for you. But on top of that, it's also going to be a way to get you out of the fucking house, help reduce your stress. So you got to go through a shit ton of stress in order to get some way to reduce your stress. And you could say, oh, well, you could just walk somewhere, or I don't know, just get some cheap bike. But One, I don't walk anywhere really because it's tedious, it hurts my feet, and the muscles in my legs hurt like hell. To the point where there would be sometimes, back when I was still walking a mile to school, a mile home, so about 2 miles a day, just walking there. Then, not to mention all the other walking you have to do at school, and all the stuff you have to do in gym class, all the running, all that crap. The muscles in my legs, some reason, if they have a certain amount of stress put on them, a certain amount of activity, they end up hurting so much then that I can no longer really walk without insane pain for the next week or so. And I don't know why that is. It's not like when I lift or something, that'll happen for my arms, but after that initial week, I will never get pain in my arms ever again from lifting, no matter how much I lift. I could lift all fucking day, go to sleep, the next day I'll be fine. I won't have any pain at all. But the first time it starts without lifting, then yeah, sure, I have pain for a week. And it's a little different for my legs, because for my legs, that never happens. It never goes to where it's like, okay, you're not going to feel any more pain now, no matter how active you are. It's just like, yeah, get ready for a fucking repeat, bitch. And I'm not sure why that is. And it's possible because it's how much I weigh. I weigh 330 pounds. Back when I was in high school, I weighed between 280 and 330 pounds. I haven't really gained a whole lot of weight, or any really, since I got out of school, so whatever. So then as for the bike, well, yeah, a bike still costs money. Yeah, you could get a cheap thing. And I did have a bike a few years back. I got some KHS Elite. I don't remember what type it was. I just know it was some expensive as fucking really nice aluminum frame bike. It was the best bike I ever had. It was awesome. I liked it a lot. It had disc brakes. I really went out there. I just really wanted to start riding around again, because half of my time spent growing up was riding around town to stay away from home, because I didn't want to be home. I just stayed away from home, riding around town with friends and my brothers. So I really miss riding bikes, but I have to get a trike because the seat of the bike was literally bruising me from trying to sit on the damn thing. So instead of being able to actually get some exercise from riding a bike, what ended up happening is I was fighting the seat. I was mostly trying to stand up, so it ended up being so bad that I couldn't go more than a couple blocks before I was worn out, and I couldn't really breathe for shit because I kept trying to not sit on that damn seat. And I was basically standing the entire time and holding myself in a weird way, trying and limit how much weight I was putting on the seat. And when I tried to ignore, I did try for a few months, I was trying to use this damn bike. When I did try to ignore it and just try every day that I wasn't so hurt that I couldn't really sit down, it would repeatedly only give me bruises, and it would just hurt like hell. I just couldn't get used to the damn seat. And it was to such a degree, I looked for the largest seat I could get, and the largest one I could get, it was fucking massive, man. It was so good. It was probably a foot wide. This seat was probably a foot wide. That is a massive fucking seat. At the time, I don't know if it still is or not. At the time, it was regarded as the largest bike seat that there is. Bike saddle seat. I mean, not like a chair type seat. I mean, like a saddle type bike seat. It was regarded as the largest one that was made. And it still hurt. I couldn't stand it. So I ended up getting rid of that bike. But the trike I want, it has a regular, it's just some seat. It doesn't have some fucking saddle bike seat type shit. It's got a relaxing seat. You don't have to worry about pain. You can just sit back and pedal and go. And that will be awesome. And the issue here, man, those trikes, I mean, son of a bitch, recumbent trikes. That's what it is. It's a recumbent trike. They're all so fucking expensive. It is retarded how much it costs. It's almost like a rich boy's toy, I guess you could say, or a rich girl's toy, or whatever. A rich person's toy. There, that'll work. And that's basically what it's like. They're so expensive. And the one I found is the cheapest I could find, and it's actually one that I can afford, because all the rest, motherfucker, they're over even the limit I can keep while retaining benefits from SSI, because I'm limited to $2,000 at any given time. If I go over $2,000, then I stop getting SSI each month. I stop getting that money. So I have to constantly spend to make sure I'm below that. And the trike I want cost $1,200 or so, around $1,200. It's $1,000 plus $200 for shipping. I could have sworn it was $250 for shipping. I guess they probably got a reduction in cost for shipping some time ago. I don't know. But it's $1,200 in total. And yeah, so there's that I really want. And then I also got to get a chair and just, I've been trying to save up, and I should be able to get that within a year. But every little bit of spending I end up doing will push me back a month, 2 months, 3 months. It'll just push me back more and more and more. And I'm really just sick and tired of waiting. So anyways, that is the end of this video. This is a very long fucking weekly video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about anything mentioned in it with a comment. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know with a like, subscribe, or a share. Again, let me know what you think about me quitting YouTube. Potentially, I'm not decided on that yet. Let me know, just, yeah, comment, basically. Let me know. I'll read your stuff. I don't always respond. I do read everything. I try and respond to everything, though. I just can't always think of a proper response. There's at least one person I probably haven't given a single response to who's left some stuff. Yes, I see you, guy. I know I've been reading your stuff. And there's another one of you who recently gave a comment I also didn't respond to. I've been thumbing you guys' comments up whenever I read them, though. I haven't really responded, though, because I couldn't think of a proper response to give. But I have seen it. Thank you. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks very much for watching. Holy shit, especially if you made it to the end of this video. God damn, this is crazy. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.